When we look at nature, we see plants and animals seemingly perfectly adapted to their environment. So much so that until Darwin, people thought they were designed by a supreme being. Now we know that species evolve through natural selection, and not every trait is actually adaptive. Take, for example, curly hair. Some people have curly hair, some people have straight hair. Having curly hair doesn't help you, doesn't hurt you. Some places have mainly curly-haired people, but that's because they were founded by the curly-haired individuals. On the other hand, there are traits that do help species prosper, and those are called adaptations. One way to find adaptations is to look at one species that lives in multiple habitats. If we look at all the individuals in one habitat, and they all have one trait, then it may be adaptive. Because if it wasn't adaptive, we would expect it to be randomly distributed. So if all the sunflowers that live in the desert have big seeds, then big seeds are probably important in the desert. One area where adaptation can occur is in vision. We as humans live in a broad spectrum world, from UV light all the way to far red light, but under the water that is not the case. You could imagine a lake filled with algae that was very green and had only green light, or the open oceans, very blue and has mainly blue light. Fish that live in these environments can see all the colors, but they can also tune their eyes to be more or less sensitive to particular colors, using changes in gene expression. Now this raises an interesting question on how adaptation occurs. Are they tuning to the colors that are weak? So if there's only a little bit of red light, they increase the sensitivity to red light to compensate. Or are they tuning to the colors that are strong? So if there's mainly red light, they're only sensitive to red light. To answer this question, we looked at freshwater stickleback and marine stickleback. These are the little fish that live in the ocean and have also colonized multiple freshwater lakes. When we look at the light in each of these lakes, we see a common pattern. There's less UV light and more green light. Then if we look at the fish that live in this environment and we measure their gene expression, we see that each of them has less UV sensitivity and more green light sensitivity. So they're matching their sensitivity to the colors that are there and ignoring the colors that are not there. And most importantly, we see the same pattern in each lake independently, indicating that it's probably the product of natural selection. So although stickleback were not intelligently designed, by comparing populations, we can make sure that their adaptations are intelligently defined. Thank you.